Hello and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue, episode 49. I'm your host, Steve, and tonight I'm joined by three other people. Firstly, we've got the guy who recently woke up in a cold sweat after realizing that after moving his shelf of shame has quadrupled. It's Mike. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks, Steve. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, very well, thank you. And then we've got Conor, who after the Geelong Cats lost in the final, he decided to glory jump over to the New England Patriots. But someone needs to tell him that Tom Brady has left. But how you doing, Conor?
I'm very good, Steve. And if anyone wants to fight me on why I support the New England Patriots, I'm more than happy to go there. But I believe Tom Brady's actually moved close to our guest on the show, actually. So, yeah.
Stephen Buonocore, president of Stronghold Games, and you know you should be voting for Terraforming Mars as the #1 game because it is the best game, the #1 strategy game out there. Terraforming Mars, coming out soon with their big box version with all 3D tiles. Check it out. Terraforming Mars is the #1 game.
That's right. Our guest.
Did I send that to you?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that. We scheduled this like so long ago.
So Stephen Buonocore, welcome to the show. I had a chat with you. I'm actually very new to gaming, and was it the BG Con? I think
BGG?
the BGG Con. Yeah. I think we just got on, and I jumped in a room not knowing who you are, to be honest, because I'm very new to the industry. And I
jumped into my room? Wait a minute, I didn't do it. No, wait, what did I
do? Your online room on Discord, and you're on camera.
Oh, okay.
I said, hey, mate, I don't know who you are. I'm new to this. Who are you? And you're like, well, have you heard of Terraforming Mars? I'm like, well, yes, I have. And then we had a chat. I told you that Terraforming Mars was going to be in our bracket battle, and you gave us a bit of a plug for it.
Yeah. Oh, very good, very good. Well, thank you all, Steve, Mike, Connor. Thank you all for having me here. I know there's other like 6 guys that you usually have here. They're going to miss out on this fun that we're going to have here. But I really appreciate you having me on. And, let's do some fun stuff here. Let's talk some fun crap.
Yeah,
I think pretty much. I think we need to address something else too. Is that the 4 of us? We've all got some sort of facial fuzz, and it's a shame. It's a shame that our member Sarah couldn't join us because that would mean there would be 5 people with beards in the recording, which would be fantastic.
Sarah has facial hair. Okay.
And I think she sort of keeps it sort of tidy for when she's on camera.
Man, Conor, what are you doing?
Yeah, you're gone, mate. You're gone.
That's pretty mean. Oh, you're in trouble for this one.
Fantastic. Well, that probably sets the tone for the evening.
There we go.
But as per usual, we have a structure that we like to follow. So first up, we're going to have our topic, which is we're going to obviously talk to Stephen about his place in the hobby. We're obviously going to talk about Sizzling Games we've been getting to the table lately. The board game bracket, which is going to be epic tonight because it's Terraforming Mars in the third round. So your little spiel must have done well to get it through to there. And then we're up against... And you'll be facing off against your friend Conor there because he's going to be trying to get Root across the line. And then we'll finish it off by swearing an oath, as we usually do. So let's just get into it, guys.
I like it.
So, Stephen, retired, no longer Stronghold Games president?
That's right. So, I took basically a 10-year run to take the company from 0 to hero. Let's call it. Let's go with that. Nice sounding thing. 0 to hero. And in August of this year, I retired. And as I say to people who say, "Is retirement good?" I'm like, retirement's really good. Everybody's got to try this at some time. It's really, really good. Now, I really wish that I could travel. Which I would be going to like all kinds of game conventions right now, and I would still be going. Absolutely. I'm a gamer. I would have gone even post-retirement. Gen Con, Essen, and I'd be going to all of them.
Board Game Barbecue Con.
Yeah. Board Game Barbecue Con. You guys, if you guys make me this very special guest of honor, first class tickets to Australia, I think I could swing this. I'm just saying. Come on.
You had us until first class tickets.
Yeah.
We can negotiate. Hey, look, that's my first offer. We can negotiate.
I might be able to get you to come in like the cargo for the Terraforming Mars big box Kickstarter. That might be a bit better.
I accept. I'll come.
Because they
We also
Anyway,
understand
yeah.
how
We're
comfortable
also going to
getting people
create the
out.
convention. That's the other thing that we probably need to do before.
First create the convention, and then we'll work on the details of getting me there.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a great run, and I maintain my contact with the hobby now on basically the media side is really kind of what I'm doing now. But I'm doing it for the love of doing it. I'm not getting paid. I don't want to. That's kind of retirement. You do what you want to do. You don't do it because hopefully you don't do it because you don't need money. So I'm doing my podcast, which is Board Games Insider with Ignacy Chevicek, the president of Portal Games. And that's been going on for like about 5 years now. And we're on episode 170 we just recorded, a weekly podcast where we basically talk about the industry. What's the news of the industry? What's happening? We take questions from our guild on Board Game Geek. We ask a question to our audience as well in our play testing segment, and just we scrape news and then we tell about it, and then we also go through our commentary on it, given our stature is the insiders of the industry. So I'm going to continue that. I'm now on Board Game Breakfast with Tom Vassal and Z Garcia. That happens every Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. This is we also do news. There are contributors that give segments to it. We have a little game show that the three of us play, which I'm winning almost every one of them. I want to point
So you
that
got
out.
owned by the viewers in the last episode, though.
Well, oh yeah, all right. We don't have to talk about that, okay? Oh, wow. I'm glad that you saw that, though. So he sees the ones that I lose. Okay, well, the viewers didn't win the last one. And then the other thing, I mean, I'm also just keeping touch with gamers out there right now. I mean, it's an unprecedented time, right? I mean, let's not bring the whole show down here, but we're in an absolutely unprecedented time with a global pandemic going on. People being shuttered in at various levels and at various times, and gamers can't get together. They can't hang out. So I've been doing this thing called Happy Hour with the Podfather, and actually in the beginning it was Happy Hour at the Stronghold, and I've rebranded myself to the Podfather of Gaming. I'd received that moniker a long time ago because I used to be on like every podcast around. Some crazy Australians call me up and they say, "Hey, go on, join us." Sure, I'll do that. Of course, I'll do it anytime. So rebranded myself as the Podfather of Gaming, and I run a twice a week happy hour, virtual Zoom happy hour that anybody can come to. You guys can come to it. And in fact, the timing might work for the, I think it's the Thursday one, because the Thursday 7 p.m. Eastern time, I think lines up good with you guys. We had a good friend of mine a few times, Amanda Milne from Shill Mill Games. She's in New Zealand, close time wise to you. And then so Thursday 7 p.m. Eastern and Sunday 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour on Zoom, and we just hang out, maybe have a drink together, like this lovely glass of wine that I'm showing everybody here. But alcohol is not important for that. It's just simply hanging out, giving a toast to our health, seeing what's going on in our lives, laughing and having fun, keeping it upbeat. Some people literally have nobody. A couple of people that show up, several people that do. That's it.
Yeah,
They're
cool.
alone. So it's just hanging out, keeping it positive during these crazy times. So that's my little give back that I'm doing. Oh, and if you want to join that, anybody can go over to Facebook and go to Facebook/Podfather Gaming, and the events are posted there with the link. You click on Get Tickets, it's free, and you get the link to the Zoom meeting, and you hang out with us for 1 hour twice a week, or come once, and you can also watch it online. I have a YouTube channel where you can watch the thing later online. So that's my life right now, and I hope I can travel at some point, maybe come to, barbecue con down there, throw a shrimp on the bobby with you guys and things like that.
You can have a Foster's, or we can get you some local
Craft beer only.
Oh, yes.
It fits right in Melbourne.
Steven,
All right.
yes. That is
Craft beer or
perfect.
good wine.
Yeah,
Good wine, I
Oh,
can
we've
help
got
with.
great wine
Yeah,
down here.
yeah.
Yeah, very good.
I'm just like, I'm wondering how a 7 p.m. Eastern would be about 5 a.m. I think our time, which would, if you're having a happy hour, if you're having a happy hour at 5 a.m., you've had a great night.
Yeah.
So.
That's
Well, I don't know.
way, isn't it?
How does 4 p.m. Eastern work? I don't know. Is that any better for you?
It's fine.
Oh,
no,
okay.
it doesn't matter. We just won't have to partake in the drinking unless you want to start.
There you go.
Start with the champagne breakfast or something. So,
The other thing I was wondering is, so you've given yourself the moniker of the Podfather. Do I have to like found a company to be able to give myself a nickname, or like what do I have to do to?
I think names are of your own creation. So whatever, if you want to, what would you like to call yourself? We will start calling you right now, Connor. We'll call you. We'll call you the Pats. You're the Pats. I see the New England Patriots in there, which we took away. We Tampa Bay. I'm about 5 hours from Tampa Bay, so not that close. We took away your prized possession.
Yes, our favorite toy.
I think after your opening comments, Connor, I reckon Sarah will have a great nickname for you.
Oh, yeah. Don't know if I'll be able to repeat it.
Let's leave it to her.
It might have 4 letters in it, but that's okay.
Speaking of nicknames, though, it needs to be brought to the attention is that you've also labeled yourself the Evil One. Now, we have our own resident Evil One, which is Jules, who's not on the podcast, but he earned that nickname by, let's just say, making sure that he doesn't just win games, but he also makes sure that everyone else loses them while we play. He loves the combative games, and there's been a few issues raised about how he teaches games, like he might leave particular things out and then use those things to win at the end. So how did Evil One come about?
Well, first of all, to your friend Jules there, we just did I did a top 10 with Tom the other yesterday, which was Thursday, and we did a top 10 best traits in a gaming partner. And what you just said doesn't sound like good traits in a gaming partner. I'm gonna point that out there. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Evil One is actually well predates Stronghold Games. It was my gaming nickname for the longest time. So yes, I like games of conflict. I like games where where you're throwing dice, and not if it's not necessarily a war game. I like games that there will be conflict between the players. Euro games are not necessarily my thing. I'll play them, but a game that pits me against you and I can crush you, in a friendly way is a good thing in my opinion. So I became the Evil One because I would crush your soul, but always in being a good winner or a good loser, as the case may be, and that's a very important thing for a gaming partner, of course.
You need to join our Discord. We need to get you up against Jules, game of Blood Rage or something.
Let's do it.
Steve, Stephen, speaking of crushing souls and being the Evil One and being as busy as you are, look, I'm just curious, as a previous president of Stronghold Games and doing what you're doing now, how often do you actually sit down and play a game? Are most of them play testing games for the industry? Are you doing a lot of for leisure? How often do you get to actually play these days? And who do you play with?
Great question. So while I was president of Stronghold Games, while I was at Stronghold Games, so much of my gaming was around my games, right? Either I'm playing prototypes, I'm playing games that are brought in that are just, they could be a completely full finished game from Europe, and they've given us the game and we got to test it, see if we like it. So that was like most of the games I would be playing. Now, I just finished a weekend because I had a couple people over for the weekend. We did a, broke quarantine. Not that we have to be in quarantine here, but a couple of people came over, stayed for the weekend. We all knew that we were all have been doing the right thing before that. And over the course of 4 or 5 days, I played, and I have it on my screen here, the ones I played, because I talked about it on my podcast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I played like 13 different games.
Wow,
And I hadn't
nice.
done 13 different games in like 4 days in like 5 years at least. I mean, like a really great number. I played Vegas Showdown, Amun-Re, Detective Season 1, the new Scooby-Doo Betrayal, Half Truth, the Gizia Shifting Sands, Diamond, Second Chance, Rebel Rush, and Quacks of Quedlinburg. Those are like, and poker. I think I didn't mention that one.
Hey.
We had just a great time doing that. So the answer is, while I, I play games now at home with my girlfriend. That's sort of like, that's my mini gaming group now. So we'll play a little bit. We're in a big Gloomhaven campaign right now.
Very nice.
Loving it. I think I probably sold, not that Isaac in Encephalofair Games needs me to sell their games, because that's the number one game on Board Game Geek, and it's amazing. But I've been talking about my podcast how genius the whole thing is. It's just a wonderful game. If you've never played it, or if you've never got experience of playing a campaign of it, wow, I love it. So that's mostly what's going on there. And then this particular weekend, we did all these other, either brand new or just like, we haven't played in a while, and we played all these different games. So I'm getting my gaming in, which is great.
Fantastic.
You'll be you won't be happy to hear that our Patsy over there, Conor, put up Arkham Horror: The Living Card Game into the bracket, and it narrowly beat out Gloomhaven in the last round. Which I'm heartbroken, because I'm like you, I'm a Gloomhaven fan, but those bloody Arkham people,
the Arkham acolytes
came out of the woodwork, and
There's nothing wrong with that. There's a game for everybody, and everybody's got a different taste in games. So I just think that what Isaac did, with that game, and I can't wait to see what after learning what he did with Gloomhaven. Now he does Frosthaven coming out. It's exciting times. I mean, we're probably like 20 something scenarios in. We're both of our characters are about to retire. They're like both. Like one, like if I get to do this and she gets to do that, the characters will retire. So they'll probably retire like in scenarios that are close to each other. You can't probably not going to do them at exactly the same time. It should be really interesting. And then you open more boxes.
Yeah.
You play different characters.
So
It's what a great idea. So, well, Arkham shouldn't have won, but that's okay. That's okay. It's all right.
I
Still a good game.
I thought I liked you, Stephen. You just went and stabbed me in the heart.
It's a good game.
You'll be able to get some more retirement parties happening, because that's what we started doing when we retire a character, because it's too much just to go straight back into another game, because you've got to learn all the new cards and the new character and stuff. So we actually throw a retirement party. We stop playing, we grab a few drinks, and we're like, hey, we put the character up on a mantle, and it's all very
I cannot tell you how much I love this idea. Oh my god. I'm seriously, I'm writing this down right now. After I get off this, I'm going to tell Paula, retirement party for our characters. Retirement party for, oh gosh, what's my character's name? Oh god, because you don't say it too much. It's on your little sheet there, and you don't say it as much. Her name is Grand or something like that. So she's got the brute, and I got the scoundrel. So
very good. That's a good combo.
Very cool. So I'm doing that. It's a great idea.
That's fantastic.
Excellent. Just speaking about catching up on videos that you've done on YouTube, I came across a short time ago. I think it was in August. I think you did it. I think I only watched it in September. But you had the you were on a podcast with the is it White Wizards? I think it's Wild Wizards. I can't remember the name, but you were part of a Shark Tank style board game thing. So people would speak to you guys about their board game ideas, and then you guys would give critiques and feedback and stuff like that. Was that like a one-off? Is that the only time you've done that, or?
So the Shark Tank thing happened twice. I've done it twice. The first one was right before BGG Con last fall. So a year ago, there was a designer conference, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of the conference, but designers, had to pay to get tickets to come here, and there were like people giving seminars on, whatever, and what makes a, where the state of design is going, how to present to publishers, all these things. And I was not technically part of that because it was only for designers. The publishers were not supposed to be part of that. I was there for Board Game Geek Con, but I got there 2 days early because, well, I like to fly in early and relax and we'll go have a drink with friends. So I was asked if, since I was going to be there early, would I like to be on a Shark Tank panel where you get a 5-minute pitch and you give them 5 minutes of feedback on the pitch. And we were brutal. But it was I was playing the Mr. Wonderful character, and I was even saying that, I'm Mr. Wonderful. I will make your dreams come true, but you've got to come and help me. Well, why do I want to, think this game is good? I was playing that off. So we were brutal, but we gave good feedback. And then I was asked to do it again during Gen Con or right after Gen. It was like in September. You're right, wasn't it? No, in August rather.
Yeah,
somewhere in the middle of
Nun Pub.
Yes. All right. So it was that's where again designers get together and they test their own stuff, and sometimes publishers go. This time, of course, was virtual, and they invited me and Debbie from White Wizard and a bunch of people, and we did the same thing. It's harder to do in this kind of format when you're doing it online, so I couldn't be that obnoxious Mr. Wonderful. Not that I'm being obnoxious. I'm trying to be funny. It's harder to be funny when you're online like this, but it was great. I mean, I really enjoyed doing it. I would certainly do it again anytime that invited to do so. I like these are my little give backs, I think, to the industry and to designers. I just did it was called the Pitch Project. It was done by Jay and Sen, 2 designers out of Canada. They got a big design group up there, and they asked me to be on the jury to evaluate sell sheets. So you know what a sell sheet is, right? As a designer, it's a 1-page, synopsis of your game. It's like your resume for your game, right? But it has to have certain things, and you can't be overly wordy, and you got to use the right fonts. So we're just critiquing sell sheets, and I literally. Look, I had to look at 50 sell sheets, and my eyes were bleeding by the time this thing was over. But it's just something nice to do, and they were giving honorariums out to everybody who was judging, and I'm like, no, thank you. You'll donate, please, the $25 to the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. I don't want the money. I want to help you. I want to help designers. I want to help the industry. So, these little things to me are just little extra things that I can do, now in retirement, now when I have a little extra time.
Yeah, excellent. And how does that work though? Because it's interesting that so far we've had a few guests on our show, and they've been mostly designers or artists for games. So we haven't had anyone who is just purely on the publishing side of things. Okay. So from the time that someone brings you a game to the time that game gets released, what are the steps that are involved there? How much back and forth is there between you and that designer?
There's it depends on what's going on. If it's a designer, a guy has a person has this new game and they've got little pieces of paper that they're showing me, and they're not, it's not a published game already that I'm going to decide whether I want to localize for the American market, and then maybe even bring it out globally if I had worldwide English rights. So if we're going for it's a designer, they come to me, we're going to test what they have. In the past, I would specifically say, I only want late stage designs. It's going with something that's just a concept, an early stage design. It just does not help a publisher unless it's from some known designer that that in the end they're going to have something amazing. Yeah. I want something that's really fleshed out. They bring it to us, we test it, and let's assume we see something. Then we'll say, okay, this looks interesting. Can you we'll take another step back with them. What if you did this? Can you think about that? And they might say no, we actually tried that. It didn't work. And, we'll go back and forth in conversation. Maybe we'll send it back for them to actually do some more development and then send it. At that point, it becomes ours. We go to contract, sign the contract, and it becomes our internal. Now, we will always continue asking the designer to stay involved. I think it's very important. First of all, designers are, financially involved, so they want They want their game. They want their name on a box. They want to get paid for the game. So they really want to be involved for the most part. Some designers kick it over the wall, go on to the next thing. But the ones I like to work with are the ones that are truly engaged with you, and they want to see this thing and their vision as close as possible. So we'll go back and forth. At the absolute best case scenario, from getting a game to getting out is 6 months, but that's if the stars aligned and it was perfect and it came in. But in many more circumstances, it's 1 year or more that it will go from the beginning that you saw talking to somebody until that game is actually out there on the shelves.
Fair enough.
So when you've got a game like one of my favourites, so Gunshot Clever, obviously that's been created overseas. So how does that work with the English rights? Because it's already a fully formed game.
Right. So that's the other side of the coin, and that's something that Stronghold basically made their name on. We would go out and we would scour. I like it. King of the rolling rights. That's beautiful. And I love rolling rights. And I especially like those nice short kind of ones, right? They're very contained. You can play them a bunch of times. While I do like my epic games, and we'll probably talk about a couple of those things on the show, having a game like that's pretty clever, Gunshot Clever. And I didn't see Dizzle. Do you have Dizzle there?
I don't have Dizzle. No.
I've
got
Dizzle. So good, man.
Yeah.
You've got to get yourself a copy of Dizzle. Those games, you can, for most of them, that's pretty clever and twice as clever. They're a little thinky, so I wouldn't try to teach my mother that game. She's not a gamer. She doesn't want to be a gamer. No good. But like Dizzle and Ripple Rush, these games are like, boom, quick. Do you have Yeah, you go. That's brand new, right? That just came out.
Yeah, it got Divi Dice. So we got that.
Divi Dice, yeah, a little gamery, but that's great too. That literally just came out too. All these games. So let me get back to the original question. The original question being, how do we get games? We scour what's going to be coming out, especially at Essen, when Essen is approaching, right? The Spiel in Essen, which was virtual this year, of course, as all conventions were. And literally, we would make lists of 100 games that we thought had a potential. We'd narrow it. I would create meetings with either, well, in this case, with the publishers in Europe or Asia, because a lot of Asian publishers are there too. It's really a worldwide event. And I would create meetings. During the meeting, we would get to see the game a little deeper. And we got to do this in like 30 minutes too, because most meetings are like very fast. Because I had meetings every 30 minutes for 5 straight days. It was crazy.
Wow.
And we would then basically, if we thought the game had some potential, or and if the rights were available that we wanted, then we would say, okay, can I have a copy of the game? We'll test it when we get back in the US. Hopefully they would show us a little bit, but then we would take it back and then we would test it. And of those crops of, we would bring back 3 suitcases full of games. And then we would churn through all of those things. And from that, we'd get 1, 2, 3, maybe games that we really wanted to do. Now, some games we would do just because, like we would do like all of the 2F Spieler games, the Freedom and Freeze games. We would just do all of them. We were doing many of the Lauter Pellet games, and we've had some great games with them as well. But every other partnership that we want to get involved with, it's a one-off. It's a pick and choose. I like this one. This one's not for us, kind of thing. The market is too flush with games. You can't do them all. I could do literally. I got to use past tense. I could have done 200 games a year because everybody wants you to do their game. They only have this distribution. They want American distribution as well, right? Or they only have this distribution. They want worldwide distribution. And Stronghold had worldwide distribution when we had worldwide English rights. So you have to pick and choose your battles. You have to pick and choose the games. The industry in general has got to focus down on less games. It's very important because there's just too much product out there right now. So few games get noticed over all that chaff. It's a one and done print. And that's not a healthy way of running a business. It's just not healthy.
Do you subscribe to AEG's theory that they've gone to, where they've done something similar, where it's less games released but more quality put into those games?
more quality, more focus. Absolutely, 100%. And you'll see. Well, COVID aside, Stronghold, as I'm leaving, Stronghold is doing many less releases this year, whereas we were doing 25 releases a year, like one every other week for the entire year. We would be putting out another game, either an internal game or a game that we brought over. That model just is unsustainable. So yes, AEG, my good buddy John Zinzer over there, he's a smart guy. He said, "Yeah, we're gonna do 4 releases a year. I think that's his number he has, and he's gonna do just not only high quality, great games, quality products, and focus the marketing on those games.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, gamers have it's fatigue. It's fatigue. You can't buy enough game. You can't buy all those games. There's a physical limitation on what we can do. I've got sitting downstairs in my game room well over 1,000 games. I have no idea how many games I have. How many of those games am I going to play in my lifetime? Really, at this point, all right? How many am I going to play? You start collecting them. You start getting them. So we got to focus on the right games as an industry, bring out less. It's very hard to do that because new publishers want to come in. New publishers want to get games on there. But that's the way a successful company has to operate. And by the way, leveraging Kickstarter these days, because Kickstarter is a marketing event, not because you need the money, because it's a marketing event. I talk about this a lot. That's a key way of getting the message out about this game that you want to bring out.
Yeah,
Stephen, speaking of things like Essen and going to cons, do you have any great standout stories from going to a con?
I have a million stories, but I'm not sure which ones you want to hear. Some of them might not be PG-13 or something like that.
Maybe the PG ones would be.
I mean, some of my favorite stories are just the ones where, like at Essen, right? And I don't, so Essen in Europe. Obviously, I'm in Europe for gaming once a year, and I'm sequestered in meeting rooms. And but people can see me. I try to be at a table, sort of. It's behind things. You can't just like barge in. We're sitting there having a meeting, but people will wait there, and they'll just end the meeting. People leave. I go out. I make sure things are okay, and they just come up to me. He's like, "I just want a picture with you. I just want to see you. Thank you so much for what you do. Listen to your podcast every week. Love it. Thank you so much for what you're doing." I can't tell you how good that makes you feel, how much that touches your heart, that you're affecting someone else from 6,000 miles away, or maybe you guys from 12,000 miles away, that you want to be involved with my life, in my passion, and I want to give back to you. That would be the sum of my favorite experience at a convention. And it happens not only in Europe. Because I'm at an American convention, I would always be like at the booth, but not taking as many meetings. You just don't have as many to take. Yeah. So I mean, hanging out, just hanging out, with the staff, maybe teaching a game, and people just come over like, thank you so much, love the podcast, love the games you do, thank you for Terraforming Mars. It's just that's the sum total of my experience at conventions, as how I can describe it. It's a beautiful, wonderful experience.
You've mentioned a lot in the last chat about just giving back a lot, and you also mentioned the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. Now, in Australia, there might be a few people who aren't aware of what that is. Can you just give us a bit of a rundown of what that charity aims to achieve?
Yeah, the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund was established by Tom Vassal right after the death of his son, which was tragic, and the child only lived a couple of weeks, I believe. And he did this to establish a legacy for his son Jack. The Jack Vasel Memorial Fund, which you can find at jackvasel.org, is a charity geared toward helping gamers in a time of need. So, if you have a crisis in your life, which was not of your own making, whatever that might be and however you can define that, you can reach out to us. I'm on the board of directors of the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. You can reach out via jackvasel.org, and you can apply for a grant from the fund. Now, we have given away a lot of money. We don't give away hundreds of thousands or even tens of thousands usually to any one person. Usually, there's been some exceptions to that, but we have given away thousands of dollars to individuals because of things that are going on in their lives. And it makes us feel very good to do so. And this is worldwide. It doesn't have, it's not just for America, though most of the people that do reach out are Americans. Anybody who's listening to this, if they're experiencing a crisis in their life, financial hardship, they can go there, reach out, and we evaluate that. I'm one of the people who evaluate the applications. We have a discussion internally, and then we grant the money. It's a beautiful organization. You can also, by the way, let me also mention, you can also donate to the Jack Vasel Memorial Fund. If you've got $5, $10, whatever you can, go to jackvasel.org, click on the donate button, and you can become a sponsor of the organization as a person or as a business. It's not about showing your name or anything like that. It's about, again, giving something to other gamers out there. I'm very proud to do this. And obviously now I even have more time, so I'm even more deeply involved in the conversations, which is great. Sometimes as I'm running a company, I can't be involved in a minute-by-minute conversation where we're talking about something. But now, an application comes in, give my comments back. We have comments online, and it's very good. So donate if you can, and if you're in need, please come and do an application to apply for financial assistance.
Have you had any more increase in applications with the current crisis, or with people potentially being out of work or anything like that?
I would say we have had a slight increase, but not a tremendous increase. Thank goodness. Certainly, some people are out of work, but there are government programs. I've heard across the world, basically, but certainly in the U.S. that have been helping people get through some of this. But yeah, we've actually had. I would say this year we've had more people from Europe, for instance, that have reached out. Maybe because they're hearing more about it. That's possible too. Not necessarily because COVID's worse there than in the U.S. It's very bad, obviously, in the U.S. as well. But yes, a little bit more. But at the same point, we've been getting through the applications as fast as we can and talking about them. So we've been pushing through them and getting out financial aid where we can do so.
That's an awesome program. That's
thank you so much.
Thank you for being involved for that. That's excellent.
Thank you.
Well, we might actually move into the other parts of our show. Steve has gladly put up his hand to be part of the next few segments. So we'll start off with our Sizzling Games. So for those who are unaware, Sizzling Games is what it sounds like. It's a game that's just too hot to get off the table. We just can't get enough of it. So I might throw down to Melbourne and ask Mike what's been getting to the table down your way with that huge stack of games behind you.
Thank you, Steve. Well, I just moved into a new house with some housemates. During the move, it makes it hard to play games, but a game that we did get started was Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of Legacy games yet. As a new gamer, but I've touched on a couple small ones, but this thing is epic. And obviously, as we all know, you can't give too much away, but the progression of this game, and it's not afraid to get too hard. Like I've played normal Legacy a few times, and I'm like, wow, this is a brutal game. And it's an exciting thing where a game can, be too hard to beat. Sometimes it will beat you. But the progression, the way the game changes and molds as you play it. I think we just finished May, I think. So we're still quite early on. I know there's lots of things to get excited about. I can't give too much away. But the way they add things into the game, the way they make the game grow as you play it, whether you win or lose, it's just absolutely amazing, and I'm loving the journey, and I'm excited for every season. And 4 of us are playing. I haven't changed roles yet. I'm always the medic. I'm enjoying being the medic. Fantastic. Can't say enough good things about it, and I'm really looking forward to see what's next because it's already crazy.
Can I comment? I mean, I'm 100% with you. The first Legacy game, like we're talking like beginning of Legacy, right? Risk Legacy. Played that. I was liking it, but you're kind of still playing Risk. 2 of the guys rage quit after like 5 games. They were like, "This sucks. The
Too
legacy's
far behind.
the legacy's okay." I'm going to talk with like a New Jersey accent. The legacy's okay, but this risk is like terrible. I'm like playing for the 1970s over here. So they're done. Then played Pandemic Legacy Season 1, and wow, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm glad you told me where you got up to, because in my head I'm like, did he get to that? Did he get to that?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I know where you are now in the game.
Yeah,
So there's some big twists and turns that happen.
I can't wait.
I've been talking about it too, because I heard recently on, I think it was on a board game breakfast, they were doing it might have been on the Favorite Game Friday. They're doing the Dice Tower, and they were talking about their favorite games of all time. And 2 different people said Pandemic Legacy Season 1 because September. We stopped playing our game in August because 2 of the people that we're playing with left. So, and we haven't gotten back to it. And I've heard this. I'm like, I'm 1 month away from whatever the hell happens in September. I have to get that back to the table. So, yeah, it's happening.
Great stuff.
We've had a few great moments in the game already where it's down to the last few cards in the deck before the timer runs out, and you don't know where the epidemic card is. You don't know if the card you need is about to come out, and just not many games give you that suspenseful moment like that. That you're all quiet, looking over, waiting for that flip, and seeing. Been absolutely loving it. It's been getting us excited.
Stephen, as a company runner of board games, what did you think when Legacy came out? When that idea, do you think it's never going to work? This is ridiculous, or what was your idea?
Fantastic question. When I heard that in a Legacy, the first time I heard this, right? I'm a publisher. I heard that you're going to be putting things on boards. You're going to be ripping up cards. You're going to be doing this. 2 things happened in my head. I was like, that's awesome. People are going to be ripping things up. They're going to buy the game again. And then as a gamer, I'm like, I'm not ripping up my goddamn game. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. So I had these both things in my head. And I'm like, I can't wrap my head around this idea. And then I played it, Risk Legacy. And I'm like, this is a phenomenal idea. Why? Because you play this game, hopefully with the same group of people. And when you're done, you have this artifact of gaming. Yeah. You have this thing that you created. I only played 5, maybe 6 games of Risk Legacy, but South America was called South Buonocore. And I hold this over their heads to this day. I founded South Buonocore on the continent.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. That was when we played Risk Legacy. That was the first thing everyone did. It's like, no, I don't care what other benefits I get. I'm naming the continents. I'm naming the cities because I just want their name on the board. Yeah.
Awesome.
What about yourself, Stephen? What have you been playing lately?
Well, I mentioned like everything, so that's kind of funny. But I'll pick something really that struck me, that was brand new. I had not played the Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I had not played that yet. So my buddy who and I don't own it, my buddy who was here for the weekend, for the long weekend, he brought it with him. And I ended up playing 2 games, and he also had the BGG bits, like he blew out the game. So they got like $50, and then you spend $50 on the bits, but I like upgrading components. I don't like putting dumb
no arguments here.
I am not an insert. I think inserts are like the dumb. No offense.
Mike's been printing inserts for like the last month. So
yeah.
Well, I mean, if you can print them yourself, okay, that's that's okay. Yeah. But I'm not going to spend $50, $60 on an insert. I'll buy another board game. I'll get my little plastic Ziploc baggies, and I'm happy. I did that with Gloomhaven. Even I got $1 billion. I must have used a box of Ziploc bags in that game. Quacks of Quedlinburg. You buy those bits. Those bits are chunky. They're beautiful. They're texturous. I loved it. I love the game is amazing. Bag building, a little bit of pressure luck, which is a painful thing if you press and it doesn't work, but it's not completely punishing. It's, it's that thing where, you still get something. Instead of being able to buy and get the victory points, you'll probably in the beginning just buy, and later on you just take the victory points. I loved it. I think there's many ways of winning the game, many ways of playing the game, and it's just something so I don't know the word, visceral about reaching into that bag, pulling something out, reaching that bag,
Yeah.
especially toward the end of the game where you're going to pull out like 20 items. You're going to be you keep pulling and pulling and pulling, and you're making your little circular chain. Loved it. Had a great time with it. My girlfriend liked it, so obviously now I got to go out and buy the game, and I got to go get the damn bits. So I'm gonna spend $100 very soon.
Yeah. Well, the bits also cost an extra 20 odd bucks for Australians because you have to get them posted.
Oh, I feel bad.
Still worth it.
You get hosed on the exchange rate. You get hosed on everything like shipping over there. So yeah, no, I shouldn't be talking about money. Yeah,
it's all good. Yeah, no, it's definitely a barbecue favorite. That game. I think we all own a copy, and it actually, I think in the last episode, won its way through to the quarterfinals of the bracket. So it's might meet up against the winner of today's at some point. So
ooh,
that's yeah, no, it's great. And I don't know, did you play it with the expansion or just the base game?
I'm pretty sure we had the expansion. We had there's like a three, like a gold, silver,
Yeah.
3 coins, and you can change, and the variability in that game is amazing because there's so many like different, like only the pumpkin's the same, I think he told me, but there's like 3 different ways to play the yellow token to play. Oh, and by the way, there's 0 theme in the game, and I like theme. I really like games with theme. There's no theme, and it's still great. So that really tells you something, that like you can still have a great time with this game, that it's just about building the best bag possible.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. What about yourself, Connor? What have you been playing?
I've actually been playing this. I didn't even think about.
You're not pulling a deaf, are you?
No. I've actually been playing Imperial Settlers by your friend Ignacy Chevicek.
Buddy.
I've been playing it a lot with the Rise of Empires campaign expansion that's recently come out. So, yeah, really enjoying it. I played, obviously, Imperial Settlers a little while ago when it first released. And I know Steve's talked about Empires of the North as well. And there are some similarities between the two. Mostly the art style, which is fantastic. I love it. The little people and the little actions that they're doing on the cards. But what it is, I guess it's an empire building game where you're also building an engine. I know if I get anything wrong here, you're going to sick Ignacy onto me, Steve. I'm going to be careful. But what you're doing is you're taking the role of 4, one of 4 in the base box, different ancient civilizations, but they're not serious. They're pretty jovial, and that's part of the game too. So there's the Romans, the barbarians, the Egyptians, and the Japanese, and each of them have their own faction deck which you draw from, and you also have the common cards. So that's where it's different from Empires of the North, Steve, in that the island decks for Empires of the North is replaced with a common deck of cards which you can draw from, and obviously have your faction deck as well. And the other major difference is that you can only store one type of resource on your in your play area unless you have particular upgrade cards. Whereas in Empires of the North, you just keep them throughout the turns. So what you're doing is you're building an empire over 5 turns to try and get the most points. And the way that you do that is by playing cards that obviously cost resources. The common cards don't cost any foundations, whereas the faction cards tend to. So that means you're sacrificing one card that you've already built potentially to build a stronger one. But I think the real ingenious behind this is the fact that the cards have multiple uses. So with the faction cards, what you can do is that you can pay a food, and that becomes a deal, which means it adds to your production. So if you can't spend the money on that card or spend the resources for that card at that moment, you can then make a deal out of it, and then you can obviously get a resource for every turn after that for the following turns. And then with the common cards, you can raise them. Now you can raise cards that have been played, and you can raise cards in your hand. And once you've done that, you actually get a resource that's on the card. So if you can't use it and you've got a raise token, which you tend to get at least one of every turn, you can then discard a card for some extra resources, which means that you're building these awesome little combos, these awesome little chains. It's so intuitive. I play it mostly solo, and the solo mode's quite good. And then throw in the fact that you've got this Rise of Empires, which is really, really fun. it's got a campaign mechanic where you're progressing through the ages, and you are playing quests. So the quest might be build 4 of one of particular type of building, or build or raise 3 different settlements and things like that. So a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of really good art in board games, and this is just fantastic. I couldn't recommend it more, especially if you're looking for a different type of card game. You don't have to get any of the expansions. I think the base game itself is really good, but as most listeners on the show know, that I'm a bit of a tragic, and I do have all the expansions for the Imperial Settlers, which then you can implement into the Rise of Empires as well. So do yourself a favor, go out and check it out. And I'm not just saying that because Stephen's on the show, but go and check out Imperial Settlers. Do yourself a favor.
Screw Ignacy. I don't care what you do. No, I'm kidding. I love him. Great game. It's a great. It's funny. I haven't played that in 4 years at least, but it's really well done. He did a great job, and the expansions, all good on that one. So yeah, wonderful.
The game I've been playing a bit lately is I actually had it as my oath only a few episodes ago, but I had played it previous to that, and that was Architects of the West Kingdom. So I've had it for a while, but I've also had Viscounts come in on the Kickstarter, and also with Paladins, because I never bought Paladins. So I thought I better go back and play Architects again, just to refresh myself. And, I want to sort of play through all of them. And I enjoyed it so much because previously I played it with 2 or solo, and it was great. But I played it with 4, and I'm like, this is such a great game at 4 players, to the point where I haven't even gotten Paladins or Viscounts off the shelf yet. I just keep playing Architects because I'm enjoying it so much, and so is the gaming group. So I don't know. We mentioned earlier, Stephen, about COVID, but I'm pretty much, I feel guilty that I'm quite lucky where I am that we haven't had a single case in my area. So we were able to have people over a lot sooner than pretty much everyone else in our country. So
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. That's what happens when you live in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, no, we've been playing it a lot, and it's similar to Raiders of the North Sea, where it's a different take on worker placement, but a simple worker placement mechanic. Like, it's easy enough to understand. You got 20 workers, you go to a space, like let's say you go to the mine, you'll get 1 stone. If you put 2 workers there, you'll get 2 stone. If you put 3, you'll get 3. Of course, you'll get more workers there. You get more resources there. You got more workers there, and so this idea that the more workers you have in a particular spot, the better that spot becomes. But then also the ability then to go and round them up and send them to jail, or send your opponents to jail and get points for taking people to jail, or then you've got the ability. Do you want to be pure, and do you want to work on the cathedral and get, I can't remember the call, what that track's called, but do you want to go the other way and deal with the black market and steal from the tax office? And then you can't build on the cathedral because you're not a trusted person, and you can't steal from you can't still use the black market if you are regal, because that's not in your character. It's just such a great little game, and it's just the artwork is phenomenal. Just the gameplay itself, though, is what's really excellent. It's at 4 players. There's certain points where I'm like, I kind of want my guys to be arrested because I need to go pay off a debt at the prison anyway. So I might as well go and pick up my workers anyway. So you're kind of setting yourself up for someone else to come and do that for you. And it's it's so good. I really enjoy it, and I'm very keen for Paladins. I've just got to stop playing this one first. So
I must have had 20 guys in that damn jail for a while there. Very good game.
That sounds like life down in the town I live in, where you got to go to the shops, but you got to pick up your brother or something from the drunk tank first.
I don't think I'd be bragging about that too much.
Architects of the West
Victoria,
West Victoria.
By the way, I didn't know you guys aren't even in the same area. I apologize. I don't know that.
No, that's all right.
And I also got to apologize. I don't know a lot about the geography of Australia, though. I know it's huge, and I know you got some big cities, and they're far apart from each other. How far apart are you guys?
So I actually reached out to a board game community one day and said, does anyone want to do a podcast? So none of us had met any of us when we started. So I live in northwest Queensland. I'm about 2,000 kilometers northwest of Brisbane.
I can translate that. Don't worry about it. I'm not a dumb American. I am a dumb American. When you get in the board game industry, you can do the metric system.
Fair
right.
enough.
1,200 miles.
Yeah, right. And then in Brisbane we have another member, which is Adrian, and then we've got a couple of members in Sydney, Mitch and Sarah. Jules is in Canberra, and then we've got
Sorry about that.
Mike, Def, and Dan are all in Melbourne, and then Connor's in Warrnambool. So between Warrnambool and Cloncurry, which is where I live now, is about 3,500 kilometres.
It's virtually the length of the country.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's in the deep south, and I'm 3 hours from the Gulf. So it's
Have you ever been in the same location together?
I've met
No.
Adrian face to face. So the guy who lives in Brisbane, we've caught up once. Otherwise, and I think Def and Dan have caught up once. But yeah, next year we've got our board game barbecue retreat. So that'll be the first time we actually all are in the same room together. So
that's really cool. I mean, that's a great story that you guys just met on the internet and you're doing this thing together. And next year you're gonna have a big game convention. You're going to invite me as the very special guest of honor. We're going to negotiate how we're going to get down there. Okay, good. Can't wait.
It's in the wine country too, Steve.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Gotta talk.
Hunter Valley.
I don't think you'll be allowed to get out here in April next year, but give it a go.
Yeah, probably not.
I think I actually heard Stephen pass the Melbourne American test. Did you say Melbourne instead of Melbourne?
I probably picked it up from you because I would probably say Melbourne.
That's the test. Yeah. Every time there's a concert on, we always wait to see how they say hello, Melbourne or Melbourne. You passed.
Melbourne.
Okay, you did well.
Yeah.
No, I probably passed it because you said it, and I just mimicked it. You know.
That's right. That's Melbourne in the state of Victoria.
Nice.
Well, that will do us for our Sizzling Games. And we wanted to cut it a little bit short because we really wanted to give some space to the board game bracket today. So we'll move on to that. So before we start the big bracket showdown today, we have to resolve the last one, which I'm just going to have to do a quick update because it was supremely close. And, it's all about votes swinging at the moment, all worldwide. So we got to make sure we get this right.
While we do the count, maybe we can ask Stephen for his input, what he thinks about the mashup.
Maybe if it's like tied, I would be like the vice president of the United States who like breaks the ties in the Senate. That's a little U.S. Election stuff.
I have, between watching The West Wing and watching like local news, I have learned that much about American politics over the last month or so.
Yeah, we're right. And when is this podcast going to drop, by the way?
Monday morning, so it'll be Sunday night your time. So
the United States still might not know who the next president is. So, and we don't talk about politics anywhere. Anything I do, I never talk about politics, but can't wait for this to be over. It's painful it's painful to you, maybe. It's painful to me too.
I can't imagine. But on a far more serious note, though, we've got to discuss Too Many Bones versus Gaia Project. So, this was Mitch versus Def, obviously, as we had on the last podcast. So, Too Many Bones versus Gaia Project. Who do you think got the win here?
I don't know Too Many Bones very well, but I've not played, but I've seen Gaia. I had the option on doing Gaia, actually. It's a little known fact. Which, sure, in retrospect, you should have done it, but the cost to do it was too prohibitive. The game would have been over $100 per copy, and so it didn't make sense for us to do it with the cost, the licensing fee, the whole thing. The company that did it has a different structure in the way they get the game out. Anyway, I'm going to pick Gaia Project. Great game. What
about you? What about Mike and Conor? What do you think?
I don't know either. I haven't played either, and I hate to side with Mitch. But I like. If I had both on the table, I think I'd lean towards Too Many Bones. Just the idea of all the dice and the fantasy theme, I think appealed to me personally a lot more, rather than the big brain busting game. I think I'd rather go for Too Many Bones. That got my vote.
All right, Conor.
Yeah, look, I am a lot nicer to Mitch than you are, Mike. So I did vote for Too Many Bones. But I tell you what, it's sort of neither of them. Like the production quality of Gaia Project is good, but it's not as good as Too Many Bones. The gameplay in Too Many Bones is really good, but I don't think it's as good as Gaia Project. So they're really sort of where one is excellent, the other one's still very good. So I would have to give it though to Too Many Bones, just because of how the votes have been going so far.
So I'm just proud of myself because when we talked about this in the last game, I said I think this will be like one of the closest battles we've ever had, and that is correct. So so there was 2 votes difference between the 2 titles.
God.
How many total number of votes did you get?
So 112. So
wow,
112 votes, 2 different. So 55 votes to Gaia Project, 57 votes to Too Many Bones.
Congratulations, Mitch, for getting one through.
You can. So Too Many Bones is the new Prime Minister of Australia. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
The President of the United States, even better, because probably better than these 2 guys.
Man.
Oh, excuse me.
That's right. That's all it takes.
I think Def's got a rage quit now, isn't he? I think
Yeah.
he's had enough. Yeah, he's done. See you, Def. Sorry, buddy.
He has had so many gains just by that much. All right. So that leaves us with today's battle, which we have already spoken a little bit about at the start, which is Terraforming Mars versus Root. So this is going to be fantastic. So just to give you a bit of an idea here, Stephen, both Mike and I put Terraforming Mars up as one of our games. So the bracket works. We all put 8 of our favorite games up.
Right.
And then we put it into a bracket and just randomized it, and they all face off. So Mike and I put up Terraforming Mars. Conor put up Root. So we decided to get you on for this
Because they needed backup. Because
not leader games. We'll leave leader games. If Root makes it to round 4, we'll get leader games in. So that's fine.
So essentially, you brought the guy who put the game out to beat Conor. 3-on-1 against the poor guy.
That's it.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
Yeah.
used to it. I've been defying the odds the entire show, Stephen.
Sorry,
Well,
Conor. You're going down.
I'll tell you what, Conor. Fair game. I'll let you choose. You want to go first or second here?
No, I want to go second.
All
Defer the kickoff. Yeah.
right. So I might let Stephen go for this one. Stephen, why is Terraforming Mars better than Root?
Oh my God, I could have made a really bad decision here. Oh no.
Listen, it's not even a contest here. This is ridiculous. I should just say because and just leave. Take my wine glass and leave. That's what I should. But you know what? Because I have respect. I have respect for the people of Australia who might want to do this with me here, and for Conor who put some thought into this here. Terraforming Mars is one of the greatest games of all time. It's proven on so many levels. First of all, the geeks have said so. It's the number 4 game. Was number 3. It's number 4 game of all time. It is an amazing game that has all of the greatest parts that you want in a game. You have card drafting. You have hand management. You have 6 resources that you have to manage at the same time. You have area control where you have to get the juiciest parts of the board and build around your area, and people are going to build against you. You have variable powers. You have the ability to expand the game or not. If you're a purist, you stay with the basic game. Most people will always put Prelude in. Some people will then go to Hellas and Elysium to get that variability of the board. And then when you get crazier, you go with Venus or the colonies or politics, turmoil. It has everything a gamer could possibly want. A Eurogamer, and I'm not even a Eurogamer per se, but it's got all those great elements. And once you've got the great gameplay, you've got a Eurogame that has one of the most in-depth, integrated themes that you can possibly find, which makes it great for me too, because as I said, I love theme. Terraforming Mars integrates the theme that in 400 years from now, because the game starts in the 2400s and ends in the 2800s, over a course of 400 years, we might be able to do this thing in the future with the projected science that's in those cards. Because those cards are not so outlandish. They're not truly science fiction. They're science-based. Jacob Frixelius, who is Doctor of Physical Sciences, Dr. Jacob Frixelius, the designer of the game, put all of that knowledge into that game. And he made this game the best Euro thematic game ever done. Not to mention, in my lifetime, and I'm old, I'm going to see people on Mars, which makes it topical too. Root is none of these things. No way. Root is going down for Terraforming Mars. Thank you very much. All right, and I accept the presidency of the United States. Thank you very much.
Not the presidency of Mars, because you could call me the presidency.
I should have
Should we
said
stop
Mars.
now before we finish counting, or should we?
Yes, stop the count. Stop the count. Buonocore for president. Oh, by the way,
We promised we weren't going to get political. We promised, and we just couldn't avoid
your
it.
viewers won't see this, right? Because this is not a.
We'll put this up on our YouTube channel for sure.
You can put this on. I created these buttons 4 years ago. This is 4 years ago during the first time Trump ran against Hillary Clinton. I created these buttons and I gave them out at Essen. Can you ever see that? Vote Buonocore Stronghold 2016.
That's great.
I figured with the contentiousness of this year, I wouldn't play around with this too much anymore. But I thought this was great. This
That's
was from
great.
4 years ago. And I gave them an Essen, and people still wear them to this day. It's awesome. Another great thing that fans wear that I love that. All right. Go ahead, Conor. Follow that up.
I'll try my best. So you talk, firstly, let's address the asteroid-sized elephant in the room. And you talked about Terraforming Mars having all the parts of a perfect game. Well, why would you want all the parts when the production doesn't look anywhere near the quality that Root and Leader Games has provided? The fact that your company, Stephen, had to bring out a Kickstarter for 3D printed things to make people even want to have a look at this game. You know, that's a business move. I'm not knocking you for that. That's fine. And you might have Jacob that's a doctor of physics, but I don't want a doctor of physics anywhere near my games. I want a doctorate in enjoyment and in fun. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. Topical. Yeah. Stephen, you might be sitting on your Scrooge McDuck levels of money and being able to hire a shuttle to go to Mars. But poor old me, school teacher me, I want to watch it on the TV. So I don't care about how topical it is. I want to go into my little woods where I can see my little creatures battle one another, fight each other, all that type of stuff. Because I just need a bit of escapism at the moment. I don't want real talk. I want escapism at the moment. But back to talking about the things that make Terraforming Mars so good. And it'd be amiss of me not to say that it is a very, very good game. And these two would know that I actually don't big up the games that I'm against very often. So it is a great game and it does have variable player powers. But are they as variable as the different factions of Root? No. Like, it's kind of like saying, you know, you've got the variable player powers, and then that the cards in a pack of cards are different from one another just because they're different colors. Like, you know, it's not the same level of variable player powers. You know, it's just so the game is so replayable, and I've said it before. Root is a gamer's game. It's a game made to be played by gamers again and again. They've committed to supporting it long term, and just like you said for Terraforming Mars, you don't need to buy any expansions. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
6 expansions.
It's fantastic as itself. In fact, you might even argue that the 4 factions in the base game are so perfectly balanced you wouldn't want any more. I know people have made spreadsheets about who battles who, and then to see where they end up at the end to see who the best faction is out of all of them. You know, I totally understand that, you know, that Terraforming Mars at one point was number 3 on the BGG top 100, but the fact that it's sliding down and is now 4th, and or maybe if I check the votes, you know, the votes is coming in, it looks like the number
4.
I don't know. It may have just done it. So look, that the listeners know how much
it's dropped all the way down to 4.
Oh, it's a big slide.
If we're talking numbers, was Root number 3? Was Route 3?
It doesn't matter.
31.
Oh, that doesn't matter. We've got another Jules here who, the stats matter when it suits them.
And just
Give him his time.
Here's my block. We must go over there.
Listen, Mr. Trump, you have to give him his time. Please don't interrupt Mr. Biden. Go ahead. Mr. Biden, continue.
This is just too good.
Can we do this again next week? I want to blow off my girlfriend for another Friday night. She's gonna hate.
Look, I gotta ask.
Are you done?
Do you have a
done,
retort?
Connor?
I'm done. Yes, I'm done. The defense.
All right.
A retort? You want me to retort something like that? Listen, here's my retort. I could agree with Connor, but then we'd both be wrong. So I will not agree with him because he's wrong. He's wrong on every level because you have a perfect game and the quality of the components, that has nothing to do with a great game, and that's what we're talking about. It's a great game. And by the way, it's way overstated that the quality is not good. Way overstated. It's ridiculous how much they put on that because those cubes are absurdly great. We're the first ones who put metal-coated plastic cubes in a game. First ones ever. Yeah, there you go. When I posted that picture on Board Game Geek the first time, it got 1 billion thumbs when I posted the first pictures of those cubes. Okay, the player boards are not great. That's the only thing that I can hear about. The only thing. And then we put out new player boards. And now, if you want, now you got more support with 3D terrain tiles. Good night. I'm dropping the mic. Boom.
Well, look, if it's only fair, I offer the same to Connor. So, Connor?
I once swayed the vote by uttering one simple phrase, Stephen. You should vote for Root because I think it's a better game. That is.
Well, there you have it.
Congratulations to both candidates.
great.
Both candidates did a great job.
So now it's up to the general public to have their say, and let's hope we can get this done in 4 days like we need to, and not in however long it's going to take over your way, Stephen. But so if you want to vote on this, all you got to do is go to our Facebook page, Board Game Barbecue Community. Look for this post of these two battles going up against each other. Vote via the emojis you need, or jump over to our Instagram page where you can vote via our Instagram story. Oh, hang on. Yep.
How do I stop the ballot box like the Democrats and the Republicans are trying to do right now? How do I do that? Is there a way for me to do that? In the United States, they're trying to do that right now, maybe? I don't know.
You just got to break the internet, which I don't think would be hard for you. You'll be fine.
Yeah, it's easy. I can hack it.
Yeah.
I think to make it fair, if Stephen and Connor just both post on their social media about the bracket battle, they both got the same amount of followers, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Absolutely.
It's fine.
Connor, let's do it. Connor.
Yeah, Connor's a school teacher. I can see this week going, you want that A? Well, you need to get.
That's great. Well, actually, seriously, though, if you do have a thing I can link to,
Yeah, absolutely.
I will honestly say vote for your favorite. It doesn't have to be Terraforming Mars. It can be Rude. But it doesn't have to be Terraforming Mars. It can be Rude. I will post for you.
We'll definitely send you a link. So, yeah, definitely get in touch with us there. And it's worth mentioning before we go on to our next segment too, we have a competition ending, and this will be the last podcast before that competition ends, and that'll be to win a copy of a great 2020 game, Tekkenu. So if you want to be part of that, be sure to go onto that same Facebook community, and up the very top, there's a pinned post about winning that game. It's an awesome game, and it ships worldwide. So, Stephen, you could even enter it if you wish.
Awesome.
All you got to do is go to the Advent Games website, which is one of our sponsors, and check out their pre-orders. Tell us what you're looking forward to. And if you tag a mate, you get an extra entry into the competition. So get on it. It's like $100 game over here, plus postage. You're mad if you don't. That's ending on November 10. So hurry up and get on that, and we'll announce the winner on our next show for sure, as we will the winner of this Root versus Terraforming Mars. But with that, we'll finish up this. I wish I didn't have to finish up this bracket battle, but we need to move on to swearing an oath, and we'll do that now.
We got to swear an oath. That's right.
So, swearing oath, again, for those who may not be aware of our show, swearing an oath is where we swear to play something off our shelf of shame. So it's been really good, actually. I've got a lot of games off my shelf of shame this year, even though I've failed on some occasions to get those games out. I might actually go first. I might might grab the new ball, as you say, Connor, and start. So, I had the Isle of Cats. So this we want to talk about production. Is this like the nicest box? Like
It's
as far
so
as like
beautiful.
it's so thick and heavy.
Cute.
It's just a box, but like there's a cat section in behind it. But anyway, yeah, the box. It's just the most. It's better than like packing boxes. Anyway, Isle of Cats was my oath, and I managed to play it yesterday with my two sons. It was a lot of fun. They struggled a little bit at the start because one of them's only 7, just trying to comprehend how the cards work and when you play which colors and all the rest. But we got it, and in the end, I lost to my 7-year-old, which is pretty standard.
Yeah.
They're big fans of Baron Park, so the concept wasn't hard for them to grasp. So yeah, Isle of Cats, great game. Looking forward to playing it again. But for my Oath game, I'm actually going to play a game that I've technically played before, but never in the physical version, only via Tabletop Simulator. And that is the hottest game in our podcast at the moment, Barrage. So turned up yesterday, and it's getting played tomorrow with my gaming group. So Barrage is, I, Stephen Shivers, swear to play Barrage by the next podcast. We'll throw, what about yourself, Connor?
So my oath, last time I succeeded because my oath was the Rise of Empires campaign expansion for Imperial Settlers. So it was my oath last time. Really good. I've already talked about that. And because you talked so glowingly about Architects of the West Kingdom, Steve, I'm going to swear an oath to play Paladins of the West Kingdom, maybe before you get to play it.
Yes, possible.
So looking forward to that. It's been on my list for a long time to play. Big fan of worker placement. And it can be played solo, which is really good at the moment, but hoping to take it maybe to my next board game night.
And Mike, how'd you go?
Look, we've been going for long enough. I think we've run out of time today.
I think you need to swear.
Yeah, so I've had a pretty good run on this podcast. I don't think I've actually missed an oath yet, and I just decided to come down to everyone's level today. And I just moved house, so that's my excuse. So I was supposed to play Big Easy Busking, which I watched a YouTube video. I don't know if that counts, but
No.
I will be playing Big Easy Busking. It's a great looking game about New Orleans, about busking and earning some money from the different people. But I will double down. I'm going to swear to do 2 oaths. I will continue to play Big Easy Busking, but I'm really excited to play Imaginarium. I recently did an unboxing on our podcast YouTube channel about this game. The art just blew me away. It's got really weird steampunk sort of art. There's like little minis that you use as your player characters. They look like fantastic little sculpts. It just looks kooky, crazy. It's worker placement. I think a bit of drafting. I'm super excited to learn and play this game. So I, Michael Farrugia, will play Big Easy Busking and Imaginarium by the time I'm on the podcast next.
Now, sorry, Mike, just to go back a step there, you missed out on our all-in meeting earlier this week where we decided that if you fail an oath, you need to sing us all a song. So hit it.
I love that.
Oh, I was just sing a song. What if I beatbox instead? Does that sing the song? Does that count?
You can do that.
Let's go. I mean, I'm making this up, but sure, let's do it.
There you go.
Whoa! That was
Nice.
good. You knew
Glad
he
I
could
made
do
that
that.
up.
I
That
guess.
was awesome.
That's why I started with the Aussie didgeridoo if I can still do it.
Yeah.
Oh, my voice is not there today, but yeah.
That's
There you
impressive.
go.
Dude,
So I think
that's good, man.
everyone else should beatbox when they miss a thing now. That'll be even more fun. I want to get Mitch to a beatbox.
Do you sing as well, or
No,
just do?
no, I don't sing. No, that's why I beatbox instead.
I can sing a little bit, so
Yeah?
I can't do those things. That's pretty cool. That's very, very cool. By the way, I noticed you said something ranges. You said I just moved house. By the way, of course I understand what that means, but that is not something we would say in America. I just moved is what we would say. I just
Okay.
moved house is absolutely in something. It was like it's such a weird sounding thing to an American ear. But the most important thing is you just moved house. And I see behind you a perfectly set up shelf of multiple shelves of games. So I know that your priorities are maybe not with the kitchen or the
No,
dining
no.
room or your wife or whatever your
I got my
current
babies
situation
set up.
is.
My babies are all set up.
You got look at this. I mean, no one's going to see this, of course, but that's an amazing shelf of stuff you've got there for somebody who just moved house.
Well, half of it's mine, and that's why my shelf of shame quadrupled, because I moved in with other board gamers. So this side is my housemates, and this side is mine, and then there's the other wall on the opposite side, full as well.
So you moved in with all gamers, and therefore you set up the game room first. I appreciate that. That's great.
Makes sense.
Of course.
Priorities.
That's a smart man. All right. So I, Stephen Buonocore, so solemnly swear that I will play very soon Twilight Imperium
Ooh.
4th edition.
Nice.
So that, and you can't pick a little tiddlywink game for this. It's got to be an epic swear. So there's nothing really more epic, in the mainstream of board games than a game like that easily is like 1 hour per player. I have never played TI4, 4E, and I haven't played TI3E, which I have here, for 5 years. I think it's about 5 years since I moved from New Jersey and I came down to Florida. I lost my main gaming group up there, and every year we were going to the World Board Gaming Championships, which is just a name of a convention where they say that's the championships. It is what it is. It's over in Pennsylvania. I used to drive there. It was easy to get to. Once I'm in Florida, I couldn't do it anymore. And I was going at the end for Stronghold, so we didn't have to go. It's relatively small, maybe 1,500 people or something like that. Anyway, when I left there, the last time that I played and last time any of my friends played, as far as I know, I won, which is pretty epic for me because I don't normally win many of these big games. So I won. So I officially had at that time, part of my evil one moniker maybe, that I officially declared myself the World Board Gaming New Jersey champion of Twilight Imperium 3rd edition.
On
the
second Tuesday of November.
Yes, on the second Tuesday when the sun is out. Yes, but it was a very narrow win, but it was winning against 4 of my friends. So I get as a gracious winner, I can brag for the rest of my life, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so now I'm here in Florida, an hour and a half from Tom Vassal. I mentioned that before. Tom has 4th edition, and I'm probably not supposed to say this, but hey, I'm talking to Australians, and no one's gonna get this back to the US, right? No, never.
Sure. Keep talking.
Yeah, he's on. Tom's got the new expansion for Twilight Imperium 4th edition, unreleased, of course. So Asmodee sends him the stuff to test. So we're going to be playing with the new expansion for Twilight Imperium 4th edition. Not only am I playing Twilight Imperium 4th edition, which I never played before, can't wait to play it. 3rd edition has been sitting on my shelf for 5 years. I'm going to play with the unpublished expansion. Stay tuned.
That's awesome.
I will be bragging about it soon.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's really cool.
That's pretty epic, right? That's a good epic square.
Very epic.
I can actually merge both Mike and Stephen's oaths there, because I'm moving house in a couple of weeks, and I'm actually moving into my new place on December the 5th.
Wow.
A friend of the show, the guy who runs a board game shop in Brisbane, has put out a Twilight Imperium 4 game to be played on December the 12th. And he just said, "Oh, who's in?" I'm like, "Me, I'm in." He's just like, "Aren't you like just moving? Won't you be unpacking boxes?" I'm like, "I'm sure I can take 8 hours out of my day to come and play Twilight Imperium." So, I'll also be playing it for the first time next, it's December 13th. So there you go.
And you're playing 4th edition, 3rd edition?
4th edition, yeah. So
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, I talk about this on a lot of podcasts. My favorite game of all time is War of the Ring. Have you played War of the Ring?
But
I haven't, no. But
no, I mean, you know of it though, right? I assume, right?
Yeah.
War of the Ring. It's the Battle of Middle Earth. You start in Rivendell as the free people, and you got to dunk the ring, and the shadow players trying to kill it. That is my favorite. It's just so epic in scope and everything, and dice throwing and card play, beautiful. So these kind of games, when I get to play something like that, which I actually played recently with Roy on the Dice Tower, or I get to play a Twilight Imperium, I get such a visceral, wonderful gaming experience out of it. That to me is truly gaming at its best. Now you can't always sit down and play 4 or 5 hour games. So I revel in my 30-minute game experiences or my 1 hour game experiences. But when I get to play a game like Twilight Imperium 4th Edition or War of the Ring, I'm just in heaven when I can just play it and enjoy it with a bunch of friends. That is gaming in perfection.
And I think that is probably the best way to end our show. So thank you so much, Stephen, for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So again, big thanks to Stephen. Stephen, where can people get a hold of you in your board game knowledge?
Oh, thank you again for having me here. So, if anybody wants to keep up with the Podfather of Gaming, first of all, do so in my podcast, which is Board Games Insider. You can get that wherever you love to get your favorite podcasts, like this one probably on iTunes, etc. We also have the webpage for boardgamesinsider.com. You can catch me, of course, on the Dice Tower Board Game Breakfast every Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Of course, it's recorded as well, so you can get it later on. Or other times when I'm harassing Tom on various top 10 lists and things like that on the Dice Tower. And if you would like to follow me, my Twitter account is @PodfatherGaming. The Facebook page is facebook.com/PodfatherGaming. YouTube channel, where I post all the videos, is The Podfather of Gaming. And if you want to come and hang out for a happy hour with the Podfather, go over to the Facebook page for Podfather Gaming. You'll find the events Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Might not be good for you. Or Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And check us out. Just drop in and hang out, say hi, and listen to some silliness and comedy from dumb Americans and Canadians and Europeans. And occasionally a New Zealander. So we haven't had an Aussie yet. But we're getting there. We're getting there.
We'll fix that.
Thank you. Thank you again so much.
Stephen, just before you go, I have one question to ask you that I didn't ask earlier. Your little rivalry you have with Tom Vassal, is there any basis behind that, or is it kind of like a wrestling kayfabe sort of thing?
A wrestling,
like, you know how like wrestlers have a rivalry, but they're just working it. So, what's it like?
It's like two alpha gorillas like pounding on their chest in the same room, like I'm more important than you. We just got into it before Stronghold a little bit. We met before Stronghold. Then once we started the whole thing, we started helping each other and we just started teasing each other. And literally, even before I met him, and then like when I just started getting to know him, it literally was just like hanging out with a brother or a good friend.
Yeah, cool. And
just the way like we were teasing each other, my friends and I tease each other. Tom and I really tease each other, and we just have a great time doing it. And people thought it was real at one point.
Yeah.
But obviously it never was. And we just like doing it, and we just like having fun. And that to me is the number one thing you can do with gaming.
Yeah.
Just have fun when you're hanging out and gaming.
Yeah, awesome work. Well, thank you again, and we'll catch you all on the next podcast. Cheers.